Hey everybody, this is Dave coming to you from the Gaming Cave. Today we're going to do a wrap up of Save South Vietnam from Fortress Games. And I know you're probably going, well, wait a minute, you didn't finish the campaign. Well, I found a couple things that I did wrong, and it would change the game. And unfortunately I didn't discover them till later on in the campaign, but now that I'm looking ahead, I'm like, dang, I did something else wrong. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go through what I did wrong, so that you'll know to watch out for these things. And maybe at a later date we'll do another playthrough of this, now knowing what I know now, and also to the strategy of the game would change quite a bit too. So I want to point out a couple things to look at and see if you would do it different. But my intent here is not to show you how to play the game wrong. My intent is to, when I do it wrong, is to make corrections and then show you guys what I messed up, so that when you're playing the game, you don't have the same issues that I'm having. My experience as a solitaire gamer is sometimes it's the hardest way to play a game, because you don't have anybody else comparing or looking over your shoulder or reading the rules too and going, no, wait a minute, that's not right, or hey, we did this wrong, and making instant corrections. You get to playing the game, you kind of I got going with the system and I thought I had it down, but then I missed a couple things. So I'm going to move us over to the game board, and we'll take a look at where we're at, what I did wrong, what's kind of going on. And then, like I said, maybe we'll come back a little later and give it another go. And who knows, we'll see what happens with it. So let's get over to the table. Okay, so let's talk about what I did wrong. Well, the first thing I showed you, I think it was in the last video when TET started. In 1969. Up to that point, I did not discover the max, so I forgot about that. So there's the max number of VC that you can have in an area. Okay. The other thing that I kept skipping, because I thought, my mind, that's why sometimes you got to go back and look at the rules again, and I just did that. And I'm like, dang, that changes the whole game and what I was doing. And I was starting to think this game wasn't so hard, but I missed some things that would have made it substantially harder, I think. Okay, so what happens is there's a step in here that says PCs and NVAs advance on Saigon. So they start moving out of these areas and start moving towards Saigon. And if they capture Saigon, the game's over. Okay, so what causes that to happen? Well, there's four things that have to happen. One, the political points have to be at a 10 in that province. And then, excuse me, you have to have either one VC or one NVA unit in the populous area. There can be no ARVN or U.S. troops in that, or helicopters in that, with at least one combat point in that populous area. Okay, so that was 3. What was number 4? And shoot. Yeah, so political points at 10, at least a VC or an NVA regiment in the populous area, and there are no U.S. ARVN brigades, regiments, helicopters with at least one strength point in the populous area. And the province's police track level is 0. Okay, so if this is 10 and this is still 0 here, this is the police track right here. So in this case, where I'm at +3 up here, if this was at 10 and this was at 0, in fact, I can show you right here in Saigon. It's at 10 and 0. That makes both of those count. if I didn't have any troops in there, and they have an ARVN unit, and they have Viet Cong down here, then they would submit. They would have that fallen province, and then we would have put a fallen province marker on here, and then they would be free to start moving. If Saigon ever falls, the game's over. So I would have played completely different. One, you got to keep Saigon clear. This is one I should have cleared right out of the get-go. I should have started moving troops and getting them over to Saigon so that we could start punching these guys out. Okay, because I didn't recognize the max, I let it kind of get overrun and just ignored it, but I really shouldn't have. Okay, this province would not be fallen yet because it's not at 10 here. Even though it's a 0 on the police force, they're not at 10. So I still got to get in there and keep this mopped up. Okay, but over here in Quang Ngai, they are at 10 and they are at 0 and they have a VC here. So this province would be fallen. And when they're fallen, then they start moving. Once a province falls, it remains fallen until a combat phase during which every Viet Cong battalion NVA regiment in the populous area has been destroyed, while having at least one U.S. ARVN strength point in the area. So I would have to destroy everybody and keep somebody in there for that. If that combination occurs, immediately remove the fallen counter. Okay. Movement. Any U.S. ARVN which moves into a fallen province may not leave that province until it's recaptured, depleted. Let's see. Yeah, you cannot recruit police in a fallen province. Reduces urine phase 3 special forces missions. Okay, so there's a lot starts happening here, and C4, let's see, page 5. I gotta see, there's one other thing I want to talk about here on this. If there are any political cadres and or NVA regiments in a single fallen province, move one of each to the populous area of Saigon. So they don't move like one over and one over, they go. So we would have sent one NVA. There's no political cadre, but the NVA unit would have gone right into the populace in Saigon. So it definitely changes the game a little bit from what I was doing. So it changes it enough now that I don't feel comfortable moving forward with it. You know, this is where if I was just playing by myself, I would just reset the game and go on. So those are the two big things, but they're big, right? First one is maxing this out, but that immediately could become a fallen province if I'm not in there battling it. So I would have had to work on Saigon a lot more. And down in the south region where early in the war, this is where all the action was happening. Up north wasn't as busy, or at least from the roles that I had, it hadn't got as busy. So these are the things. Da Nang, I would have needed to keep working on that, but I had to spread my troops out farther to keep things going, using my helicopters different. So those were big. The other one is, how do you get your ARVN built up, right? This seemed to be going horribly slow. Oh, it was painfully slow because I was only getting the Mekong Delta going. So I needed to get some of these other areas cleared out and start building up their police force. But the only way to do it is to get ARVN units in there. So it's kind of a, how do you get your ARVN going? Well, the first thing is making sure the Mekong keeps the police force moving up there and recruiting. It seems to be painfully slow in the game. And they give us an awful lot of ARVN regiments. And quite honestly, I'm in 1970 and I have 5 ARVN regiments, one of which I started with. So I've only actually built 4 and got them moving. The next turn, I was getting ready to be able to recruit another one here in the Mekong. So, like I said, this was painfully slow. brutally slow almost. But again, you have to. This is what we have to do to try to keep things. And if I could have had Saigon cleared, if I could have kept it cleared, I wouldn't have had to move so far to start recruiting again. I could have got the police recruiting up here in Saigon maybe, and started going a lot faster up here. Because once you start to get the political points going, you can offset some of the VC stuff that's going too. So this is, it's a challenge, that's for sure. So that's kind of the difference. You're trying to find a place where can you recruit better? Up here in Quang Tri, that's a long way to have to bring ARVN units up here to start building, right? Because you got to get the political points going. But they don't get VC quite as quick up there. Another one is here in Bin Ho. They're only a 3. Saigon's a 2. So Saigon's really is a key place to be able to keep it clear, try to keep it clear. So I would really, it kind of like what I learned with 8th Air Force, there's certain things I would do considerably different here to make sure that we're getting the troops put in the right spot. And I just wasn't doing that. And you really got to do the clearing. I think I did a good job with going after the NVA to keep them from dropping down. But I kind of did that without thinking about what else was happening in here. And it keeps from the political points from getting way out of hand when you have a bunch of troops. But at some point, you got to get the VC cleared out too. So you got to get the VC cleared out, get rid of the NVA, get the VC cleared out. And then when there's small numbers, you got to use your helicopters to go in there because they don't raise your political points. So it's definitely a challenge. And I just wasn't quite, just those couple things changed the game quite a bit. So I wanted to show that because I think that's a big deal. I don't think I should continue with the game because it's kind of offset itself a little bit. And I just feel funny about it. So I don't want to do that. So let me wrap up with my final thoughts on this game, and then we'll go on to the next ones. All right. So hopefully you won't be too upset with me about what we did here. I've had some people go, "Oh, you wasted my time. It's a total waste of my time. You played the game wrong." I'm sorry for anybody that feels that way. It was not intentional by any means. Let me say it this way. I don't earn a living playing these games and shooting these videos. I do it because I enjoy it and I hope you get enjoyment from it. So if I do something wrong and you put it in the comments that, hey, you did that wrong, I don't get mad about it. I'm like, cool, somebody saw something I did wrong. I got to fix that. In this particular game, I kind of got away from it a little bit, but now I've caught it, so I just wanted to point it out. Okay, so Save South Vietnam. This is a cool game. I like this game. There's not a lot of Vietnam games out there, and I really enjoyed the play of the game. And like 8th Air Force, once you get the routine of the game down, then it plays really easy because it's the same steps. Boom, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. You still got to think about it. You still got to use your strategy. You got to figure out the best way to deploy your forces. And then you got to hope that the political cadre and the VC don't get in there and cause you a lot of headaches, but they're going to. So it's a fun game. I enjoy it. I recommend the game to other people that are interested in this subject. I think you'll have fun playing it. Like I said, I think I want to come back at some point in time and restart this thing and see what happens with the VC doing what they should have been doing and me doing what I should have been doing too. So, if you're interested in this line, get the game. I hope that the pointers I showed you here at the end will help you. When you go to do your playthrough, then you'll be like, I see the difference now, right? But the rest of the game, I think I had it pretty good. playing through. So again, hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed playing the game. We're going to move on to something else. And then probably at some point in time, I'll come back and take another shot at this. I want to get another shot at this and see if I can knock it out. But you can see it plays pretty smooth. And if we weren't videoing it, you know, and if I had the time, I could sit here and knock out a couple of years at a time instead of 1 year every video, trying to get things going. But I had a lot of fun with it. It's a lot of fun. The troops are coming in, they're getting deployed. You're figuring out where to move them. You kind of got to get things, you know, your headquarters comes in, and then your brigades start coming in behind that, and the regiments to build up the divisions. So that's really cool how that mechanic of the game worked. All right, so if you like it, like I said, save South Vietnam, Fortress Games, cool game. I think you'll like it. Give it a shot. Don't get put off because it comes in a baggie and not in a box. Once I cleaned up all the counters, yeah, they were dirty, but they cleaned up just fine. Once I cleaned them all up, everything was fine, and I was ready to go. It took me a couple turns to get the mechanics down. Then it's just a matter of watching your couple of the rules in there for what happens on the game board, paying attention to a couple of the details that I missed. All right, well, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And as always, leave me those comments and let me know what you think. And please like the video. It does help the channel on YouTube. Okay, guys, I'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.